investor, and I'm wearing a Yankee fitted because it's hard out here. Barbershops have not opened up. Even if they do, I'm in Texas and allegedly they're going to open up here pretty soon. I don't know if I trust it yet. So this is one of the few hats I got left that's not like a stocking cap. So I'm out here struggling. I have not gone without a hat in weeks. So we're all in this together. We're gonna get to talk about the stock market. Grab your phones, hit the share button. Let's do that right now. And today we're going to talk about what happened in oil prices, and then what are two stocks that I would strongly avoid. I'm going to tell you why in just a second. But as a new investor, as most people in general, we're all trying to choose the right investments to find out where to start and to avoid losing as much money as possible. Now that is it is not possible to avoid every single loss forever and ever and ever. We're not shooting for perfection. However, we're trying to avoid the big dips, the stocks that are really going to significantly hurt you in your future earning potential. So I'm going to show you how to do that today in this video, and then we're going to explain what happened in the stock market. Before we do, I'm going ahead here. I'm hitting the share button, and you should be hitting the share button too. You've had plenty of time. All right. So I have an agenda. I'm going to pull up the whiteboard here. Also pull up the questions that may come as well. But you guys should be able to see that. So first off, before we get started, if you've been on my Instagram, number one, you should follow me. We just hit 10,000 followers. That is amazing. So also hit the like and subscribe button anywhere that you see it in regards to Building Bread. But also, I publish a watch list every quarter, and I give you guys just some ideas. These are not suggestions for you to invest in, but these are ideas for you just to think about, to put your eye on, to add to your watch list. If you're asking, what is the watch list? Essentially, you can do it with any investing app, and what it does is say, hey, look, it'll send you alerts. It'll tell you the price. It will send you news. Anything significant happening with the stock, it'll just shoot that directly to your phone and say, hey, look, this is happening with this stock that you know you're paying attention to. So I keep a watch list. I publish it on Instagram. I put it on here. I send it via email. Email list gets it first. So you always want to be on the email list. If you haven't been on it, it's buildingbread.com/free. I send like one email a week about the important things happening and the important things that go on in the stock market. So I told you guys about Netflix on January 15th. Now, since the coronavirus, it looks even better. They added close to 15 million new subscribers. The stock is up close to 34% this year alone. It was one of the best stocks of the last decade, but just this year, it is up 34%. In contrast, to give you guys a comparison, the overall stock market this year from January to today is down 15%. So anytime that I put something on my stock list, it does not mean for you to invest in it, but it does mean you should probably pay attention to it. Stocks like Walmart, Costco, Netflix, all have been on the watch list and all have done relatively well. So when I put it out there, pay attention to it. If I'm telling you that I'm teaching a class, which I am on tomorrow, at 7 p.m. Eastern that you just sign up for, and it's free, then that's really important for you to do, because in a time of uncertainty, when people are losing money left and right, there are some great stocks out there that can still help you to grow your money and at the very least protect against losses. So you want to check that out. All right, so I'm checking to see if we have any questions. I'm going to mark this off of my list there. All right, and make sure the volume is down here. Great. So Sabrina's like, hey, I bought my stocks thanks to you. Perfect. That's what I'm here for. I help you to set, simplify, and achieve your investing goals, and to show you that investing can be actually easy when you follow the steps. Now, let's talk about oil. So today, oil prices did go up a bit. Last time I checked, it was around the $10 range. But yesterday was a crazy day. I would have covered it yesterday, except I don't know every single thing in the world. I am not an oil person, despite living in Texas, despite living in Oklahoma, which is still a very important oil place, which, again, news to me. So what I wanted to do is take some time, talk to some experts, do some research before bringing it to you guys. I wanted to make it as simple as possible. So I'm going to explain it for a bit. I may or may not draw some pictures. You guys know I'm not great at art, so we'll see how that goes. But I wanted to explain a few things in the broader oil market, why that is important, and then some stocks that you should probably avoid due to this crisis. So the first thing is Oil people, oil companies, including airlines, trade what are called futures contracts. What this is essentially I am going to buy oil from this oil producer or from this person at a certain price at a certain time. For example, it is April 2020. I can buy a future contract today and say of April in 2021, I'm going to buy 10,000 barrels of oil at $20 a barrel 1 year from now. Now, this helps us, me and the producer, to kind of help stabilize prices. Now, the reason why I would do that is because I think if I'm buying at $20 a year from now, that means I think the price is going to go way above that. So I'm good, right? The prices go up to 30, 40, 50. That's fine. We've already been in this contract that I'm buying it for 20, or it can go as high as it wants. So I'm thinking that that is the case. But if oil goes down, that is not good for me, because if I say I was going to buy it at 20 and now oil's $1, now I look real stupid because I have to pay for more expensive oil when I know I have cheaper oil that I can get elsewhere, but I'm locked into this contract. So people were into financiers, people were trying to make money in the stock market or in the futures market, and companies were wrapped up in futures contracts that were expiring yesterday. They could not get rid of them. They bought them at a price that was too high, and as oil dropped to a penny and even went down into the negatives, they had nothing to do with these contracts. When your contract expires, when you're a company, you actually have to take on however many barrels of oil physically. You have to take all those barrels of oil unless you sell the contract. And we're out of storage. So a lot of oil storage is in, ironically enough, Cushing, Oklahoma, which is where our grandpa used to live. I didn't think that town was important, but apparently it is. That's where physically they store all that oil when you do all these future trading. Guess what? They ain't got no space. So people are freaking out because they can't actually hold 10,000 barrels or how many barrels that their contract has. We have no place to put them. Why do we not have a place to put them? People aren't using oil and buying oil as they used to. As you know, we're not driving as much, airlines aren't flying as much, people aren't going places. So because people aren't going anywhere, we're not using oil. Because we're not using oil, we don't have storage. Because we don't have storage, the price of the oil is had precipitously fell and even went into negative territory, meaning that people would say, I will pay you to take this oil and do something with it, is essentially what that was saying. And that demand was a result of the coronavirus. So we already had some issues in the geopolitical space, but the coronavirus made those things even worse. Essentially, there's a group of companies called OPEC. I think it includes Venezuela. I know it includes like Saudi Arabia and some other countries. And then you got Russia out there that's, acting a fool, but they produce a lot of oil. Essentially, these countries, including ourselves, we're not in OPEC though, we decide how much oil we're going to make or not make, or drill or produce, however you want to say that. So when they cut the production, say, hey, we're not going to make as much oil this week, this month, then prices go up. When they say, hey, we're going to produce as much as we want, then prices go down. OPEC said they were going to do one thing, and I talked about this in the email previously. Russia said, well, no, we're not going to do it. We're going to produce and drive prices lower. There was a price war, then COVID hit, so that was bringing oil prices down even further. Then you add COVID-19. Then you add the fact that we don't have a place to actually store this oil, and you can see how things really spiraled out of control. So that's what happened in the oil market. That's why things were as bad as they were yesterday, which was historic. We have never in the history of life seen oil at a negative price point, which freaked me out because again, I haven't seen everything, but I ain't never seen that. So that's what happened. So let me know, number one, does that story make sense? Because if I need to draw a diagram, I will. But I think I told it in a story format that hopefully made sense to most people. So that's how the oil market works in a really, really tiny nutshell. That's what happened. And if nobody says that that didn't make sense, then we're good to proceed. All right. Now, you as an investor, you're someone that's trying to look to get started, trying to avoid losing a whole lot of money. What is your next best move? The first thing that you probably should do is this. Nothing. That is your best. It is actually your best suggestion right now because there are people say, "Hey, look, well, oil's going down. Should I jump into this stock? And when it comes up, I should do X, Y, and Z." Number one, there's actually no real guarantee that oil is going to come back. Oil has been dropping consistently for the better part of 5 years. It has never gotten this bad, but the fact that it can go into the negative and had gone into the negative, I mean, yes, it can go lower. That doesn't happen with a stock per se. Once a stock hits zero, it's pretty much bankrupt. But generally, this is not something. If you don't know the oil market, you don't understand how it works. Stay out of it. Period. And if I don't understand it, you probably don't understand it either, unless you're somebody who works in the petroleum field, you're an oil engineer, or you work in the oil space. If you do what you want. But for 99% of us, we don't know. Especially if you were the one posting about this yesterday, about, oh my God, what's happening? You don't know what's going on. You definitely shouldn't be investing. And for those who are, still looking for stocks, you may own these two stocks. I would also avoid, and this is opinion here, I would avoid stocks like ExxonMobil. And I think the symbol, I'm going to pull up a chart here in a second, CVX. That's Exxon and Chevron. They rely clearly on oil. They produce oil and a bunch of other things. That's not a place that you want to park your money. So right here, we have a chart over the past 5 years. I'm going to slide this over a bit. There we go. All right, so this is over the past 5 years. So we have right here, this is the S&P 500. For those that don't know, it's the 500 largest companies. This is the average stock market. Then in red, we have Chevron, CVX. And then here we have Exxon, which is XOM. And this is over the past 5 years. So 2015 to 2020. And this is just an example. I don't always look at 5 year charts. It's just to give me context. Is it something that is just a blip, or is it a trend, or has this been happening consistently just over time? So you can see here, I'll zoom in a bit, that ExxonMobil has been down 50% in 5 years. 50. That's half. You have lost half your money by putting your money in Exxon. And then Chevron is a little bit better at 25%. But if I just left things alone and just put it in a simple index fund, I would have made 30%. Even right now, as you can see, this counts the coronavirus. And you can see how it has bounced back. Now, that doesn't mean that the rest of the year is going to go straight up. We don't know that. I'm not here to guarantee you that if you invested today, that things are going to be fine this time next year. Cannot guarantee that. However, we can see that the overall stock market has outperformed these two stocks for the past 5 years. I would venture to say if I went back 10 years, it would probably be very, very similar. So my thing to new investors is there an opportunity in oil in that it could go up in the future? Certainly possible, but why would I choose to lose money in something right now with no guarantee that it's going to rise above this green line, which is the overall stock market? Even if it does improve, if it improved, really, if Exxon improved 50%, it would still be at zero over the past 5 years. So you want to always keep those things into consideration. So these are two stocks I would absolutely avoid. If you don't know oil, which most of us don't, this is not a place for you to be. Don't jump into something that you don't understand. Don't jump into something that you can't test. Don't jump into something that you just found out about yesterday. It's not a place for you to be. These are more complex times when it comes to the oil market. This is also why I don't invest in futures and commodities like gold, silver, oil, corn, things of those nature. I stay out of it. I just did a podcast interview about this type of thing on last Friday, where he asked, do you do things like Forex? Do you do things like oil trading? No, I'm never doing that because that's just not me. It's overly complicated. It doesn't make sense. It's not my type of investor. So as I know me as an investor, I like to be able to say, hey, look, what is the CEO doing? Let me look at the balance sheet. Let me see if this company is making money. Do they have customers? Let me understand the economy. Sometimes these types of stocks, these types of investments, oil, don't fall or play within the same rules? So my answer is no. But again, if you want to avoid losing a lot of money, at least over the short term, so probably stocks you might want to avoid. Additionally, I am teaching a free class tomorrow. We did the same class last week, so if you signed up last week, it's the same. Make sure you go to buildingbread.com/today. I'm going to give you 3 ways that you can start investing today. We're going to cover some of the things we talked about here. Also going to show you some really easy and simple ways that you can avoid losing a lot of money and invest even with smaller amounts of money. There are lots of people that feel like you have to have thousands and thousands to start investing. You know, it's actually a simple 7-step process that I lay out. It's a 3-step process I lay out in the webinar, but a 7-step process that give you everything in the course. So check it out, buildingbread.com/today. I'll see you guys tomorrow.